The galaxy knew her name in whispers, Zira. She was feared, hunted, and spoken of like a ghost. No one had ever seen her face and lived. She didn't miss her target. She didn't feel. She didn't stop. She was the most dangerous assassin in the galaxy. But now, she was running. Cold wind cut across the night. A metal moon full of junk and silence spun slowly in space. Deep in its rusty alleys, Zira staggered forward. Her cloak was torn, her side bled. One of the hunters had hit her, poison bullet, slowing her, weakening her. She had never failed a mission. But this time, they turned on her. The people who once paid her now wanted her dead. She fell near a broken cargo pod and stayed low. Her breathing was heavy. She could barely move her arm. Her vision blurred. Footsteps came, not soldiers, not bounty hunters, just one man, a human. He walked with a tool belt on his hip, grease on his arms, and an old flashlight in hand. His name was Dane Carter, a simple junk mechanic. He was searching the piles for working tech. Then, he saw her, a shape in the shadows, still, silent, bleeding. Dane stepped closer. "Hey, you okay?" he asked. No answer. He knelt beside her. The light hit her face. She was young, pale alien skin, sharp eyes, though now half shut, hair messy, breathing uneven. "You're hurt." She opened her eyes slightly. Her voice was soft but strong. "Don't call the guards." That one sentence stopped him. He paused. She looked dangerous, but something in her voice wasn't evil. It was afraid. He looked around. No one else. The junkyard was quiet. Dane sighed. "All right, I won't call anyone, but you'll die if I leave you here." Zira tried to sit up and failed. Dane caught her before she fell again. "You're burning up." She didn't reply. Without another word, Dane lifted her gently. She was light, too light. She had barely any strength left. He didn't ask her name. He didn't ask why she was there. He just carried her. His home was a small metal shack near the edge of the yard. Not much, just a bed, tools, and a heater. He laid her on the cot, grabbed his med kit, and started cleaning her wound. She winced, but didn't stop him. "You're lucky," he said quietly. "That bullet was poisoned, but not the worst kind." She looked at him through half-closed eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Dane shrugged. "You looked like you needed help." "Even if I'm dangerous?" He met her eyes. "I've worked with broken machines, broken bots, and broken people. I know danger, but I also know when someone is more hurt than harmful." For a second, her cold assassin face softened. Then she passed out. The next morning, Dane found her awake, sitting up, still weak but alert. "You're lucky," he said, handing her a warm drink. "You were almost gone." Zira took it, sipped, then spoke. "You should have left me." "Yeah," he said with a chuckle, "but I didn't." She looked around the room. "Where am I?" "My workshop. Don't worry, no one knows you're here. What's your name?" She hesitated. "Zia." It was a lie, but Dane didn't push. "All right, Zia, you'll need to rest. Whoever hurt you might come looking." She nodded slightly. "They will." Enemies? More than that. Outside, wind howled. Above them, stars blinked coldly. On nearby planets, bounty posters showed her face. Wanted, dead, reward, 5 million credits. But inside that small, metal shack, the galaxy's deadliest killer was just a tired, broken woman trying to breathe. And the human who found her had no idea that his simple act of kindness was about to change both of their lives forever. The metal shack was quiet. The only sound was the soft hum of the heater and the clicking of tools as Dane worked on a broken drone. But his eyes kept going to the corner bed, where Zia, the name she gave, rested with her back against the wall. She wasn't like anyone he had ever met. Her eyes were sharp, but tired. Her body was still healing, but her mind, always watching, like a hunter trapped in a cage, unsure whether to trust or strike. Dane didn't ask questions. He gave her food, bandaged her wound again, and kept quiet. He could tell she was the kind of person who didn't like too many words. She barely ate at first. She sat quietly, always near the door, like she expected someone to break in. She didn't sleep much, and when she did, her body jerked with silent nightmares. Dane once woke up in the night and saw her standing over him, knife in hand. But she didn't attack. She just whispered, "I thought I heard something." Then went back to her bed. By the third day, she helped him fix a small bot. Her fingers moved fast, skilled. Too skilled for just repairs. "You've done this before?" Dane asked casually. "A long time ago," she said. He nodded. He didn't press. But he knew. This woman was hiding something big. Outside, ships came and went from the scrapyard landing zone. Most didn't notice Dane's shack. But one small scout drone did. It hovered too long. Scanned too much. Zia spotted it first. "That drone doesn't belong here," she said, her voice cold. Dane frowned. "You sure?" She nodded. "It's searching for something or someone?" Dane looked at her. "You?" She didn't answer. That was enough. That night she sat near the heater. Dane brought her a blanket. "You need to move," she said suddenly. "Why?" "If they find me here, they'll burn this place to the ground." "I've got nowhere else to go," Dane replied with a calm smile. "Besides, I don't run easy." She stared at him. "You don't even know who I am." He sat beside her. "You're someone who was bleeding to death. Someone I helped. That's enough for me." "You don't fear me?" He looked into her eyes. "Should I?" A long silence. Finally, she said quietly, "You should." The next morning, Dane found the drone's tracker on the roof. Small. Hidden. He took it down and crushed it under his boot. When he came back inside, Zia was already packing her things. "You're leaving?" he asked. "I have to. They're coming." "You don't have to go alone." Zia looked at him in surprise. "Why would you help me?" she asked. Dane smiled. "I told you, I don't like leaving broken things behind. And you're not as broken as you think." She stared at him. For a moment her walls dropped. Her shoulders loosened. Her eyes softened. "Be careful, Dane. Helping me could cost your life. Maybe," he said. "But not helping someone who needed it, that would cost my soul." That night, Zia didn't sleep by the door. She slept on the bed, finally calm. And for the first time in years, she dreamed, without fear. But far above the junkyard moon, a large bounty ship had locked onto her last known location. They were coming, and this time, they were not alone. The wind howled outside the junkyard shack, but inside, it was too quiet. Zia stood near the window, her sharp eyes scanning the sky. Dane worked on a broken scanner nearby, pretending not to watch her, but he noticed how still she had become, like a predator sensing danger before it appeared. "They're here," she whispered. Dane paused. "You sure?" She nodded. "I know how they move. I used to be one of them." Before Dane could ask anything more, a deep sound echoed through the air, a soft rumbling hum of an approaching ship. Not cargo, not trade. A bounty hunter's vessel. It had no lights, no color, no sound warnings. It slid through the clouds like a knife. Dane stood beside her. "We can hide in the tunnels." Zia shook her head. "Won't work. They'll scan the heat. They know I'm alive." "Then what do? We fight." Dane stared at her. "You're still healing. I don't need to be whole to kill." The way she said it, cold, quiet, without fear, it made Dane's stomach twist. He realized again who she really was. Not just a runaway. Not just an assassin. She was the galaxy's most wanted weapon. An hour later, the first hunter came. He landed near the far end of the scrapyard, silent boots hitting the ground. Tall, armored, visor glowing red. He moved fast, scanning metal heaps and old bots like he knew exactly what to look for. Zia waited in the shadows. Dane wanted to stop her. "Let me try talking," he said. "No," she replied flatly. "They don't talk. They kill." Before Dane could say another word, she was already moving, like a ghost. She leapt from the shadows, slammed the hunter against the wall, and snapped the wires in his armor. Sparks flew. The hunter fell. No sound, no struggle, just silence. Dane stood frozen. "You didn't hesitate. He was never going to stop," she replied. "I trained with him, years ago." "You trained with them?" Zia looked at him. Her voice was empty. "I was them." More ships arrived that night. 2. Then 3. By dawn, the junkyard was no longer a quiet place. Drones flew overhead. Footsteps crunched through the scrap metal. Laser lights scanned every corner. Dane and Zia stayed underground, in a hidden room below the shack once used for storing parts. Zia checked her weapons. Dane tightened the bolts on a defense turret he was building. He glanced at her. "We're not going to win, are we?" She didn't lie. "No, not if we stay." "Then we run?" "I'm tired of running," she said. "If I die, I'd rather die fighting beside someone who didn't sell me out." Dane met her eyes. "You think I had the chance to sell you?" "You still do. The bounty went up last night. 10 million credits." He stared at her. "That's enough to buy a planet." She gave a sad smile. "I know." Dane just shook his head. "Guess I'm not interested in planets." As the sun rose over the scrap moon, Zia stepped outside. She faced the bounty squad, 5 of them now, each one armed, trained, and ready. She stood alone until Dane stepped beside her. "Go back inside," she whispered. "No," he said. "They want you. They go through me." One of the bounty hunters shouted, "Turn her over, human, you don't know what she is." Dane replied, "I don't care what she was. I know what she is now." The bounty hunter raised his weapon, but Zia moved first. The fight was fast and brutal. Zia used the wreckage like a dance floor, moving between old ships and towers of rusted parts. Her blades flashed, her body spun. She was deadly, graceful, and terrifying. Dane fired his turret from a roof, covering her blind spots. Smoke and sparks filled the air. 2 hunters fell, but more were coming. Too many. Zia was breathing hard. Wounded again. "Fall back," Dane shouted. "We need to go." Zia stared at the burning field, at the bodies, at the sky. Then she turned and ran, with Dane at her side. That night they hid deep in a mining tunnel far beneath the surface. Dane wrapped her wounds again. "We can't do this alone," he said. "I know," she whispered. "But I'm not leaving you," he added. Zia looked at him. For the first time, something changed in her eyes. Not cold, not sharp, just human. "You're a fool," she said, softly. He smiled. "Maybe, but I'm your fool now." The mining tunnel was quiet now. Zia sat against the wall, her arms wrapped around her knees. Dirt covered her skin. Blood stained her shoulder. Her breathing was slow but steady. Dane sat, nearby, fixing the small radio he had pulled from a dead bounty hunter's gear, but his eyes kept drifting toward her. She had saved his life again, fought off more enemies, but this time, she didn't walk away cold. She didn't hide her pain. She just sat there like the weight of her whole life had finally landed on her back. Dane spoke softly. "Who made you this way?" Zia didn't answer at first. He didn't push. He just waited. Finally, she looked up. "My name isn't Zia," she whispered. "I know." She gave a tired smile. "You're not as dumb as you act. And you're not as heartless as you pretend," he replied. Zia's smile faded. She looked down at her hands. They were shaking. I was born on Tarvin 4, a slave world. My parents were workers in the mines. I never knew their names. They died when I was 5. I watched them starve while the guards laughed. Dane stayed silent. Zia continued, her voice low and steady. The syndicate came later, took the smartest children, said they would give us food, safety. Lies. They trained us like machines. We were not allowed to speak, only kill. You were just a child. I was 7 when I killed my first target, a traitor who betrayed them. I didn't cry. I didn't feel. That's how they taught us. Feeling was weakness. Dane's heart sank. He couldn't imagine that kind of life. He looked at her, really looked, and saw the scars, some on her skin, most hidden deep inside. I escaped last year, she said. Killed the ones who held the keys, but they never stopped hunting me. Because I know their secrets, I know their faces. That's why the bounty's so high, Dane said quietly. She nodded. I'm not just a threat to their power. I'm proof that they exist. Proof they trained assassins from children. They can't let me live. And still, Dane said, you saved me. You keep saving me. I don't know why, she whispered. Maybe I'm tired of being what they made me. Hours passed. Zia slept, her head resting on a broken crate. Dane stayed awake, guarding the tunnel entrance. His rifle was old, but ready. He thought about what she said. A child turned into a weapon. A girl robbed of love, home, and hope. No wonder. She didn't trust anyone, but somehow she trusted him, just a little. The next day, Zia woke to the smell of warm food. Dane had managed to heat a small meal using scraps and parts from the mining station. It's not fancy, he said, handing her a bowl. But it's real. She took it, ate slowly. It had been days since she truly rested or ate without fear. You ever think of running away? Dane asked. All the time. So why don't you? She looked at him. Because I don't want to live in hiding. I want to be free. Truly free. He nodded. Then let's make a plan. Zia raised an eyebrow. You're still with me. After everything? I told you, he said, smiling. I fix broken things. And maybe, I just want to see you smile without fear. Zia looked away, but her cheeks flushed a little. She wasn't used to kindness. She wasn't used to someone seeing her, not the killer, not the bounty, but the girl beneath it all. Later that evening, Dane pulled out a small map. It showed old smuggler routes, hidden paths through space. There's a place called Mira 7, he said. No laws, no scanners, no syndicates. We could disappear there. Zia looked at the map. You'd give up your life to hide with me? No, Dane said, meeting her eyes. I'd give it up to help you live. A long silence. Then she whispered, You're either brave or stupid. Probably both. She smiled, a real one. Small, quiet, but real. But peace never lasts long. Outside the mine, a new sound echoed. Heavy, slow, deadly. A syndicate warship had entered orbit. They weren't sending bounty hunters anymore. They were coming themselves. And this time, they wanted their ghost back. Dead or alive. The ground shook. Far above the mine, the sky turned red. A syndicate warship, black, massive, and silent, hovered like a monster in the clouds. It didn't flash lights, it didn't send a message, it simply existed, like a shadow covering the world. Dane looked up from the mine's entrance. His hands clenched. They found us, he whispered. Below, in the tunnel, Zia stared at the flickering monitor. Her face didn't change. No fear, no panic, just cold focus. They didn't send hunters this time, she said. They sent the ones who trained me. Dane turned to her. Why? Why now? She stood slowly, eyes sharp. Because they're done playing games. They want me back or dead. He didn't speak. He watched her pull on her boots, fasten her blades, and check her gear. She moved like someone who had done this 100 times. But something was different now. This wasn't about killing. This was about facing what made her a killer. The warship didn't land. It sent down dark, silent drop pods. Each one cracked open and out stepped armored soldiers, not bounty hunters. Syndicate agents. They didn't speak. They moved like machines. Their only goal: recover Subject 7 Zaya, the perfect weapon they had. Lost, Dane and Zia ran through the tunnels. She knew them well by now, mapped every route. But even so, they were closing in fast. "Where's the exit?" Dane asked. "There's one shaft that leads to the surface," Zia replied. "But they'll expect it. Then we surprise them." Zia glanced at him. "You really are staying with me? You thought I'd run? I hoped you wouldn't." The upper shaft was long and narrow. Zia climbed first. Dane followed. When they reached the top, Zia froze. 3 syndicate agents waited at the mouth. Dane whispered, "Back down?" "No," she said. "We finish this." She moved fast, too fast to follow. In seconds, one agent was on the ground, his weapon broken, his helmet cracked. The other 2 turned, but Dane tossed a smoke grenade he had crafted from spare parts. "Go," he yelled. Through the smoke they ran, out into the ruined junkyard, but they weren't alone. 10 more agents moved in, forming a circle. Zaya and Dane stopped, trapped. One figure stepped forward, a woman, tall, pale skin, a long black coat, no helmet. Her eyes locked on Zia. "Come home," she said coldly. Zia's jaw tightened. "I'm not yours anymore, Commander. You were never yours to begin with. We built you. Your property." Dane stepped forward. "She's not your property, she's a person." The commander looked at him. "You're the human who helped her escape. We should have killed you sooner." "I'm harder to kill than I look." The commander raised a hand. "Kill him. Bring her back in chains." The agents moved. Zia didn't wait. She exploded into motion, blades flashing, feet pounding, fury burning in her eyes. But there were too many, even for her. She fought like a storm, cutting, dodging, striking, but a stun rod hit her back. She fell to one knee. Another hit her ribs. Dane ran to her side, grabbing a fallen weapon. He fired, wild, untrained shots, but one bolt hit an agent in the chest. Zia looked up, eyes wide. "You idiot," she gasped. "You're welcome," Dane grinned, but they were surrounded now. Weapons raised, no way out. The commander stepped closer. "You'll never be free, Zia." Zia spat blood. "Then I'll die trying." The commander lifted her weapon. A sudden whine pierced the air. Boom. An explosion tore through the left side of the yard. From the smoke, a group of strangers appeared. Junkers, old smugglers, forgotten. Workers, people Dane once helped. They carried old rifles, blades, even tools. One shouted, "We stand with the mechanic." Another said, "And the girl who broke her chains." The syndicate turned to face them. But the surprise was too strong. Zia stood again, and this time she didn't fight alone. The battle was quick and brutal. Zia moved like fire, her allies beside her. Dane fought too, clumsy, dirty, but he didn't back down. The commander tried to retreat, but Zia caught her. Their final fight was silent. No words, no mercy. When it ended. The commander lay in the dust, defeated. Zia stood over her, breathing hard. "I'm not yours," she said. "I never was." Later, when the smoke cleared, the warship fled. The syndicate had lost. Zia sat beside Dane, blood on her hands, dirt on her face. "You risked your life," she said. "So did you," he replied. She looked at him. "Why do you care so much?" He smiled. "Because someone finally showed me what courage looks like." She gave a soft laugh. "You're still a fool. And you're still dangerous. But now," she whispered, "I'm dangerous. For the right reasons." The stars looked different now. Zia stood at the edge of the junkyard cliff, her hair blowing in the soft wind. The sky was quiet again. The syndicate warship was gone. The soldiers who hunted her were either dead or fled. She had survived. Again. But For the first time in years, she wasn't alone. Behind her, Dane repaired a broken satellite dish with grease-stained hands and a smile that never seemed to go away, even after battle. Even after risking his life. Zia turned. "Why do you always fix things?" Dane glanced up. "Because someone should." She walked closer, arms crossed. "The fight is over. You could leave now. Go somewhere safer." He shrugged. "And miss the chance to annoy you every morning?" She didn't smile, but her eyes softened. That evening, the survivors, junkers, traders, old miners gathered around a fire. They brought food, shared stories, and laughed like people who had forgotten how. Zia stayed at the edge of the group, watching. One small alien child, green-skinned with bright orange eyes, walked up to her. "Are you the assassin?" The child asked. Zia looked down. "I was." The child blinked. "You saved my brother." Zia didn't know what to say. The child smiled. "Thank you," and ran off. Dane appeared beside her, handing her a cup of warm soup. "You have fans now." "I didn't want that," she said. "No one wants to be a hero," Dane replied. "It just happens when you do the right thing." Zia stared into the fire. "What if I don't know who I am without the killing?" Dane was quiet for a moment, then he said, "Then you get to find out, day by day." The next morning, Dane offered her a small metal box. Inside was a communicator. "A smuggler ship is leaving tomorrow," he said. "They can take you anywhere. New name, new world, no more syndicate." Zia looked at the box for a long time, then looked at Dane. "You want me to go? I want you to choose," he said gently. "Not to run, not to hide, to choose what you want." She held the communicator in her hands. Freedom. A clean slate. A life without war. But something tugged at her. A voice in her heart whispered, "You're not done here." That night she stood outside Dane's shack. He was sitting alone, fixing a bent drone arm. She walked over and dropped the communicator in his lap. "I'm staying." He looked up, surprised. "Are you sure?" "I'm not a ghost anymore," she said. "I'm not running, I'm not hiding." Dane smiled. "Then I better clean the guest room." She raised an eyebrow. "You don't have a guest room?" "Not yet," he grinned. "But I'm good with tools." She sat beside him. "You're crazy, and you're not as scary as you look." She chuckled. Just a little. Days passed, then weeks. Zia worked with the other junkers, taught kids how to defend themselves, helped repair broken machines. Her hands, once used for killing, now planted wires, carried crates, and built new things. At night, she and Dane would sit on the roof of the shack staring at the stars. "I used to hate the stars," she said one night. "They reminded me how far I was from freedom." "And now?" he asked. "They look like home." One evening, Dane brought her something wrapped in old cloth. She unwrapped it. Inside was a handmade necklace, simple, crafted from scrap metal and crystal. He looked nervous. "I know it's not much." She held it close. "It's everything." She looked at him. "Why me, Dane? Why did you help me when you knew what I was?" He met her eyes. "Because I saw what you could be." A few days later, someone arrived in the yard, a reporter from a small outer world news channel. He had heard rumors about an ex-assassin who saved an entire town. He offered credits, fame, a chance to clear her name. Zia looked him in the eyes and said only 4 words. "That woman is gone." She walked away from her past that day, not by running, but by choosing who she would be now. Not a weapon, not a ghost, not a target. Just Zia, and she chose to stay. It had been 42 days since the warship left. 42 days since Zia, the galaxy's most dangerous assassin, died quietly, without a sound, without a bullet, only to be reborn as something she never thought she could be: free, alive, home. Now she walked through the scrapyard not with a blade in her hand, but with tools in her belt and dust on her boots. The same locals who once feared her now waved. Some offered her warm food. Children who once flinched at her now ran to greet her. She didn't speak much. She didn't need to. Her presence said enough. I am still here. I chose this. Inside Dane's workshop, the walls were changing. A second bed, a new shelf with books, 2 mugs instead of 1. Even the old cracked window had been patched. Zia stood in the doorway, watching Dane fix an old drone's leg. You're making it walk again, she said. He looked up, trying to. She walked closer, placed a small motor in his hand. Try this. Dane blinked. You really don't like watching people fail, do you? I've seen too much failure, she replied. Now I want to help fix something. He smiled. You've already fixed a lot. That evening, the wind carried the smell of roasted meat and sweet root bread from the fire circle. A celebration. The town's first since the syndicate fell. Zia didn't want to go. But Dane placed something in her hand, a folded piece of cloth. She opened it. Inside was a dress, simple, dark, stitched from old trader fabric. Zia looked at him. You want me to wear this? I want you to be comfortable, Dane said. But I also want you to know, no one's looking at you with fear anymore. Only respect. She hesitated, then nodded. When she stepped into the firelight that night, the yard fell quiet. She wasn't in armor. She wasn't holding weapons. She was just Zia. And yet she looked stronger than ever. The child from before ran up to her again, this time with flowers. My mama says you're brave. Zia knelt. Your mama is right. Dane joined her. He handed her a mug. Welcome to the celebration. She took it. It's the first one I've ever been to. He looked surprised. Really? No one ever invited me before. You'll never miss another one. Later, after the fire dimmed and laughter echoed through the yard, Zia and Dane sat beneath the stars. He turned to her. Do you still think about leaving? She shook her head. Not anymore. What changed? I did, she said. You showed me I wasn't just what they made me, and this place gave me something worth staying for. He looked into her eyes. What are you now, then? If not an assassin? She was quiet for a moment, then smiled softly. I'm a builder, now of things, of trust, of life, he smiled back. Zia, the builder, I like that. She leaned her head on his shoulder. That's not my real name, you know. I figured. She looked up at him. Do you want to know my real name? Only if you want me to. She thought for a moment, then whispered it. He smiled. It's beautiful. So was the old me, she said. Just lost. A week later, they took down the old warning signs at the edge of the yard, the ones that said, keep out and danger, killer inside. In their place, Dane painted a new sign, welcome home. That night, Zia looked at her reflection in the small mirror Dane had installed in the corner. Her face still had scars. Her eyes still held the weight of her past. But something new shone through. Peace. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel hunted. She felt whole. She walked to Dane, who was half asleep on the workbench, goggles still on. Come on, builder, she said with a smirk. Time to rest, he blinked. You calling me that now? Well, she smiled. If I'm staying, I better give you a name too. And so, the most feared weapon in the galaxy faded from the stars. No longer hunted, no longer a name on a wanted list. Just a woman with scars, a second chance and a new life beside someone who looked at her, not with fear but with hope. And that was worth more than any reward.